Welcome back to Queen's Mindset. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We are so excited, to be able to share with you our next speaker who would share her powerful story. Oh my God, I can't wait to hear this, guys. I hope that you are excited and you can't wait as well. But before we go any further, if you have not done this already, make sure you go right just down below and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel so you can be kept abreast of every video that we are bringing out. But let's head into it. So welcome to Queen's Mindset, Alison. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I am doing wonderful. I recently had a holiday, so I'm a little fired up.
Oh, wow.
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Definitely.
Awesome. You're doing some amazing work. Really proud to see our young women out there doing things that have a transformational impact on others.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. So, Alison, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay. I always laugh at this because, I thought. First of all, I am a mother to a 13-year-old Maya. My greatest joy and fulfillment in this life thus far, I have to say. Wow. I'm married for a number of years. Oh gosh, like maybe 17 years now. Wow. I am a business executive in corporate Barbados. I'm a career professional, so I sit on a number of boards, a number of committees. I'm a member of the council the Barbados Chamber of Commerce as well, and industry as well. I have a passion for mentoring and helping our younger career professionals to develop, and I think that is one of the things that is quite unique about me. I'm very, very focused on giving back and helping to pave a way for others to come behind me. I'm also a certified John Maxwell coach. I absolutely just enjoy giving back and sharing and helping others. I believe that many times that people have so much untapped potential and they just need someone to help them, guide them, really offer that much needed guidance. And I try to be there for many persons, to be honest with you. So that keeps me very busy. But on the more fun side, even though my daughter says there's nothing fun about me.
Oh, there.
I love to dabble in interior design, like just decorating. That's one of the things. I love wedding planning. Wow. And I struggle a bit to share about myself and without talking about my past. That's the honest truth. Only because it's really been my foundation. It's at the core of who I am as a person, as a woman, as a mother, as someone that's very driven. And it's because I grew up in very, very poor conditions. My mom, single mom, there were 4 of us. And I just always say, like, I'm so blessed now because everything in my life at that point in my life was a struggle, like literally. Just watching her work at a plantation and struggling to send us to school, struggling to feed us. Our house was literally falling apart, wearing welfare clothes and all these things that people don't know about me unless I share them, because they only see me for who I am now and where I am in today's world.
I like that you say that, because it's very important that we talk about where we came from and then where we're going, so that
absolutely.
Yes. A lot more persons can definitely relate and be like, oh, but if Alison did that, I can do this too as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's really kept me very grounded. I have a total appreciation for life. I have an appreciation for everything I have in this life because I knew where it came from, right? And I don't take it for granted one bit. I know the struggle, but I was prepared to put in the work. So
that's indeed. I agree. I totally agree. So another good thing about you, Alison, is that you are also an author. You recently wrote a book. Tell us about that book.
Yeah, so my COVID baby. My book, Life Lessons, A Purpose-Driven Leadership Journey, it was really birthed out of, again, my passion for helping others and creating that path to success for others. And I remember because I'd started to get so many requests for mentorship, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not good at saying no. So I found that I was just being stretched all over with, as little conversations, but then persons actually wanted more time. And so, brought some structure to it because I'm a structured girl, and and reached a stage though where it just was too much. And I was having to say no to way too many people. And during COVID, I just said, you know what, Alison, you have the blog, which, persons had started to subscribe to my blog, like Lessons by ABE. And I said, I need to do more. I was not satisfied with just the blog anymore. I would try to publish articles once a month, and I was like, how do I do more? And then one day I just had this thought, you should write a book. And I was like, no way, I have no time. Like, it literally shut my head because I was like, where am I going with this? This is foolishness. Because based on my schedule, I had no clue how I would do it. And in the heart of COVID, which was brand new to the whole world at the time, my hours in terms of work had intensified significantly. I actually just sat down like after very long days and said, let me do something that fulfilling, right? A little bit more fulfilling. And I started to write the book. The book really is a representation of my journey as a leader. So I actually do share a bit of my personal story in the book, in terms of living in poverty and that experience, and a section on how I watched my mom being abused just because she couldn't afford certain things. So then you get in bad relationships, and so I speak about that in the book as well. But more importantly, it's about really some of the life lessons that I've learned in my career, and a lot of it I focus specifically on what I see as blind spots for many career professionals, and really showed how I took a different approach to certain things that people take for granted in terms of, you want to advance in your career, and then how do you put yourself in a position to do so? So I speak about those life lessons in the book, and they're all very short, very relatable chapters, but full of knowledge and full of inspiration. So the book is actually, in terms of Amazon, like all 5 stars, just because everyone that has had the opportunity to read the book, they take something away.
That is really good. That is also, tell us what's your favorite part from the book. If you had to choose one particular highlight that you were like, oh my God, this is so good, I can't believe I wrote this, what would that be?
Well, I have many, but I would have to say to you that I'm a big branding girl. I believe in personal branding. It's actually the one chapter that everything about it is me, like in terms of being very intentional in how I show up, and not just about how I look or how I present myself, but my level of competence. Because people need to understand that personal branding is way more than that. So it's like how I show up, what do I want my brand to be associated with? My personal brand is associated with excellence. If you ask anyone about me, that's what they're going to tell you. I work really hard, and I'm driven, but everything I literally put my mind to, there's a success story behind it. So that's what I want to be associated with. And I was very intentional about that journey. So I just share a bit about how you can do that in that chapter.
Good. I hope you guys are running over to Amazon so that you can go ahead and purchase your book. Or if you're here in Barbados, you have copies, right, Alison?
Of course. Right. I just had a shipment, so I'm well stocked.
Right. Or if you're here in Barbados and you don't want to do the wait, just contact Alison and get your copy, signed copy.
Signed. Yeah. And I always prescribe an inspirational note in the signed copies, just because, we all need that inspiration.
That's true. That's very
We
true.
all do.
That is very true. So Alison, tell me about that adversity that you would have had to overcome, that you learned how to overcome.
Oh, you know what? I would have to say to you, to be very honest with your audience, that I think when you're faced with adversity, it's really, really important that you're rooted in purpose. When you're not rooted in purpose, it licks you totally off your mark. The thing is that when you are rooted in purpose, you find ways to bounce back, because there's no letting go of that purpose and that vision. So for me, as much as and I'll share this with you, because of the pain and the struggles my mom went through to take care of the four of us, for my brothers and sisters. I literally, and as young as I was, I used to see the pain, and it used to really, really hurt me. Kamisha, I cannot even though I get emotional if I talk about it, because it's just seeing that pain and that agony and that fight. So for what persons would probably normally ignore, I just couldn't. And it caused me to want to fight as well. Like, I wanted to fight to break that poverty. I was not living like that. Like, I told myself that I was not. So don't care how many times I had setbacks. My mom was telling one, always been a sickly child. Like, so whatever little she had, she ended up spending with me, because I was just always sickly. Either my immune system or just something would always be happening with me. And so the adversity came in that form, where I felt sometimes as though that was, like, sometimes it's like a stronghold or a curse or something. It's like every time I'm like doing good things, then it's like I'm floored. So I always had to struggle with that. But I think my biggest adversity, I would say, in terms of the remarkable time that stands out for me, I always say I was never the smartest in the room, but even though my daughter says I'm a professional trayer, I just always used to try. I would never stop trying to get better, to do better, to do more. And I had reached a stage where I got accepted to university, but my mom couldn't afford to send me. And all my friends were either driving off to the England or Bahamas or shipping out and gone. And I couldn't afford to. And it floored me. Like, I literally was close to depression about it at that age, because I'm like, but I only know education. Like, I didn't live in an environment where persons were pursuing qualifications. Like, nobody cared about that, right? But I saw that education was the thing, because I was always a big reader. And I saw that education was the thing that was going to help me. I thought that, I believed that in my spirit. And then it was crushed. And I didn't know, because I couldn't see a way out. And my mom don't care how she tried, we just couldn't see a way out. So for me, the adversity, or the ability to get over that, was just realizing that I had to hold on to that vision. I had to, because if I let it go, I would be nowhere today. I'm telling you, because I literally started to say, okay, God, this is not what you want. Like, I know this is not what you want for me, because you've planted the seed in me that I'm going to be the first university graduate in my family. And I held on to that. And I mean, it took me a long time to get there, but I talked to myself day in and day out. And I talked to God a lot, because I said to him, listen, you've told me this. And I always hold God accountable. You've told me this. So I have to find a way to make it happen. And the only way is through you. And I'm going to have to fight. So I literally ended up getting a job through a favor. My mom used to clean for at the time. And one day I went to, again, in my state, she was like, come on, let's just do something. So she took me to help her clean. And while I was there, the guy was doing accounts in his study. And I was always, I wanted to be an accountant at the time. So I went over, and he was like, oh, you know about accounts? I was like, just a little bit. And I shared the story about not being able to go to university, and then my dreams were over. And he said, young lady, don't say that.
Wow.
Your dreams are not over. Like, only if you believe your dreams are over that you remain stuck.
Right.
So that also has stood with me, but I am just someone who is always prepared to fight. Kamisha, I'm not someone that gives up. Like once it's planted in here, it has to happen. So, but you know, I say all that to say that I'm just someone who's just never given up. I've always believed, and I talk to myself a lot, and I talk to God. I'm big on self-talk. Like my daughter is like, she's just like, Mom, I wish I had half of your confidence. And I said, baby girls, because I talked myself into this confidence. I believe in what I'm saying. So then I make it happen.
Yes.
But that's only because of the fear of it not happening. Like that was the underlying root cause.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you met this guy and you started talking to him, and you know, did he teach you any other thing in terms of how to do accounts, or was he an accountant? What was his background?
He was actually the managing director. He used to do accounts for persons on his site. And it's so funny. And I guess that's why I say I can't talk about where I am now without talking about my past, because at that particular time, you know, like literally, and I always believe it, that God, he directs my path. And one of the things I would say to you is that Saturday, I think that was my first time there. I went back to that house every Saturday after that. Wow. Because he recognized from very early that there really was passion about accounts. So going from not being able to go to university, I then had this fire because he was like, okay, well, you can come and help me bookkeeping. So I literally, and because I got so good at it, then an opportunity came up in the bank he worked for, and he said, okay, well, it's only for 3 months, but you can come. I want to tell you, my story from there was history, because I went in there and I knew, oh my goodness, I have to keep this job. Mm-hmm. This job was going to be the beginning of the future that I wanted. And I just worked really, really hard. Like I worked so hard that at the time I didn't even I hate mathematics. So I didn't do well in CXC math, and it was a prerequisite for the bank. And when I came up to full-time status, there was this huge debate about this young lady because she didn't meet this qualification, but she's so good. So and literally from just being the hardest worker on the team, from taking the lead, like when everybody else, because it was a very boring assignment, but when everybody else gave up, I would do that and then go and ask others to help them just to keep learning. I'm big on continuous learning. So literally my career took off from there. There was no back.
Wow. And building and going after your dream, you know, outside of you, you know, building your confidence and everything, did you have any support from anyone else who was, you know, cheering you on and saying, you know, you can do this, we're with you?
No, my mom is my rock. I have to tell you, like, I give my mom the kudos. My grandmother is like my absolute favorite person in the world. She passed away, but my mom and my grandmother, I have never met two people, and I don't even know if it's just because they're my family. They just believe in me. And it's funny because I was different than everybody else in the family. I was the weird one.
There.
I thought they would call the weird one. Like I was in the book, and you know, others were outside right and wrong, and I was like in a corner somewhere trying to figure some. So you know, I got labeled, got teased, survived all of that. But my mom has been there, and again, as I said, because I've had so many different flare-ups and scares in terms of illness, she's just always been there. Even now with my daughter, she's been so hands-on with helping to raise her, and you know, everything I go to do, she's just up front and center, like my biggest cheerleader ever.
Wow, that's really good, because we all need those cheerleaders in our lives, I'm telling you. So that's really good. Your
absolutely, absolutely.
Beautiful relationship. So how did your business actually start to take off? I know you have, I think it's called, I have it right, Boss Ladies United.
Oh, Boss Ladies United is my new project. I launched it in February of this year. Boss Ladies United, I'm the founder. I have two other co-founders, Carrie Mapp and Tracy Griffith. And this story is actually quite funny because when I launched my book, like Purpose-Driven Leadership Journey, I didn't want to have a book launch that had media or anyone because I'm in corporate Barbados. So the media houses know me. And I didn't want that. I wanted to have an intimate session, an intimate dinner with my handful of friends, right? Like associates and stuff. And my girlfriends were like, are you crazy? Like, you wrote a whole book to just do that? And I was like, well, that's what I want, or I'm not having a launch.
Oh, wow.
So funny enough, and I think they tricked me because what went from a dinner that was supposed to be 10 persons turned out to be an event called Boss Ladies by ABE.
Wow.
Where you got to invite your closest girlfriend, and they launched with 50 persons.
Wow.
And at the launch, what I did, because again, I think it's a part of my personality, I don't ever like to highlight my accomplishments. So I made the whole event and run in order was about, I had 5 different women speaking on that were at different stages in their career. So I was starting out on the path of retirement, just made redundant, have their own business. And so literally the night was not about me. As much as it was about me, it was not about me. And the energy in the room, I wish I could bottle that.
Wow.
I literally only spoke for 2 minutes, literally. And when I spoke, I didn't even speak about the book because anyone that knows me well enough that was in that room, which only the guests would not have known me as much. Everyone that was there that knew me, they know how hard they know my personality, they know my passions. So I didn't want to make it about me. I literally was just basking in glory from the stories that I had heard, because that's where all these life lessons come in from. Experiences, but then we're supposed to take the experiences of others and our lives to get better. Right. And it's that openness and that vulnerability and that willingness to share that helps us as women to become stronger, because we are stronger. We are better when we're better together, when we're united. So then after that night and the energy and the hype, I was like, guys, we can't let this go. There's something here. So before you know it, a few months later, because my book launch was in November of 2020, we launched Boss Ladies United in 2021. And our focus is about professional development, networking, as well as socializing in a way that is comfortable, where women are focused on building up their confidence, their competence, and better collaboration, so that we continue to grow and transform to the betterment of all women. And that's the focus of Boss Ladies United.
Wow. I love it. I hope you guys are getting ready right now to go straight to Instagram, look them up. You guys are on Facebook as well?
We are on Facebook as well. Boss Ladies United. I think it's, the Boss Ladies United. And we always love to say, because it's very important, that boss lady has a negative connotation because people associate boss as someone that. For us, we see boss ladies as women on the move. We see boss ladies as where we're focused on your attitude, your mindset, completely transformed way of life. So we always say that, and we start all of our sessions with that, so that when you hear the term boss lady, it's not about, you're all that important. It's just the way you're carrying yourself, the way you understand your worth, you're committed to excellence, you're committed to evolving. And that's what Boss Ladies United is all about.
Guys, so you heard it right there. So just go over to Facebook, go on Instagram, whichever one is your preference, or you can just go on both and follow both. Both of them will have the same information so that you can be kept abreast, what's happening over there, and join the crowd too as well. No, Alison, I know you talked a little bit earlier, about, coming up with humble beginnings and stuff, but we didn't really go into detail. If you're okay, open to it, I would like for you to share, just to give us some examples of some of the things that you would have faced as you grew up. For that person who may be watching right now, I might be in that situation and be like, okay, wow, I feel encouraged because I can look at Alison and see how her life has been able to transform because she did not give up.
Yes, I think that's a good question you've raised, because for me, and I'll start with this, it's okay to be different. And that's the one thing my life has taught me. I stood out like a sore thumb for a number of reasons. I was very, very scrawny to the point of anorexia. So, and funny enough, I had the brownest hair you could ever find, ever, and it was very short. It was to the point where you couldn't even braid it. Wow. So that made me stop. Right? And got teased a lot for that. But I was also standing out because I was just different from the environment I was in. I was just not the normal profile. Like I was not like, you grow up as a teen, and I was not interested in on the boys on the block. I was like, meh, like literally, it's like, I just wasn't. So I was the girl that always had the backpack, trying to go somewhere to take in some kind of knowledge, and in an environment where nobody's focused on anything like that. It's that rum shop culture and that block culture, and I wasn't about any of that. And it was okay to be different. It was okay to be teased, right? And that's what I would want to share, that you have to become so comfortable in who you are that it really doesn't make a difference when people are after you for being different, right? The other thing is just really building up what I call self-belief, because there were many times where I felt like I didn't have the support beyond my mom. And what used to happen was that because she was already so stretched, I used to keep a lot of stuff to myself, because I didn't want to add the additional pressures, right? I talk about in my book where my father was supposed to bring money to my school, and many weeks would pass and he would not bring my lunch money. So literally, my mother would never know, because I'm like, if I tell her this is just one more thing that's going to have her stressed out. And I didn't want to do that. So I was able to build a serious resilience just from being prepared to fight. Like I would get up and mix whatever lemonade and, starve for the whole day, and all sorts of things I did to survive, to protect her. So I reached a stage where, like, at one point I literally made myself sick from doing that, because I wasn't eating anything. I was studying for CXCs and, so all of this, but I'm not saying that I'm not eating during the day, so literally had to say, I had to do, and this is why I do so much self-talk, because I'm like, it's not always going to be like this. Like, I literally used to have to talk to myself and say, you gotta push, you can't give up, because I honestly felt like giving up many times, right? I felt like, how can I continue to do this? Is this even worth it? And I've been there, and I've literally had to talk myself back. Wow. Just in terms of, things that have worked for me, like I always liked writing. And I think maybe I never knew or saw that I would write a book, but I always liked writing, and I used to journal a lot. But I would always kind of tear it up, because I'm the youngest in the house, and then if people get a hold of your scrap, and they so you teased even more, because I'm writing my deepest feeling. And a lot of those notes were, Alison, you will not live like this as an adult. Like those, and I mean, there's so many things, there's so many situations where I looked on and saw young persons, even younger than me, getting involved in all these sexual relationships just for money. And I was like, I can't do this. I cannot live like this. I deserve better. And I conditioned my mind that I deserve better. So I don't know, maybe that's why I'm so driven now, but giving up for me was never an option. Even I was just telling my mentee, I was saying to her, even as I progressed through the bank, because I ended to work and study, because I didn't get to do it how the youth are doing it now, which is where you're studying and then going to work. I didn't have that luxury. So up to when I was senior management at the bank, I don't have a first degree. I just went straight to my MBA when I could afford to do it.
Wow.
So yes, I did supplementary courses, but in terms of my real qualification, I was busy acquiring the experiences that then supported the qualification, because for I just couldn't afford it. And then start to work, it was about helping my mom to live a better quality of life. It was not about no studying. It was like how I could do this job and I can get her to start repairing the house, and I can do this, and new fridge. And it was literally about improving the environment in which I was in at the time.
Wow. So I heard you just mentioned a bit, and it was like, that was going to be my next question. When you mentioned about your dad, not coming and bringing the lunch money, I recognize that you talk a lot more about your mom. Was your dad a part of your life as you was growing up, in terms of, did he play his role as a father for you?
You would like to think so, but no. No, I guess what the old people would say, was a product of an outside relationship. So I wasn't priority, and I didn't feel like priority. So, it's now I'm older, I try to be cordial and, build a relationship, because I always try to my daughter. But growing up, as far as I was concerned, I was like, how is it that this guy is like living the life and I'm just here struggling? Like, how's that even right or fair? But then I realized that, sometimes we have no control over our situations. I learned that very early. So there are a lot of things that if you allow to manifest in your heart, you're carrying a burden that it doesn't lend to your progress.
That's so true. That is so true. I totally agree. So I can only imagine, and you can tell me if what I'm thinking is actually correct. Growing up and you're seeing the other students, children having their fathers around, and you're thinking, where's my dad? Why is he not doing those things for me as well? Was it hard for you in terms of interacting with your friends when you recognized that they had both mother and father for them, and you just only had your mother? Because a relationship with a father and a daughter is totally different from the mother. You want your father to be there to protect you, to teach you the ins and outs, the things that your mother may not be able to teach you because she is a woman and he's a man. So how was that for you, not having him there to teach you those things about when you grow up and going into relationships and what to expect? How was that?
I think no, I would say it was definitely very hard. I think in the moment I was just so angry because of the struggle my mom was facing, that unless she forced me to go, I didn't have a desire to be around, because I didn't think it fair that we were struggling like that. And definitely, I think I would have to say to you that I lived my life and the life I aspired to through others and through books and through, like, literally thinking, wow, this kind of life existed. or the first time one of my schoolmates invited me over and I saw the mother and father, and then I was sitting at the table. I'm like, these experiences are real, like, because it wasn't part of my life. So I didn't know those things existed. But having seen them and experienced them, every time I experienced something new, it gave me hope. And I always live my life from a place of hope, because the hope is what gave me the drive. The hope is so, it almost it manifests itself in such a way that I am unstoppable when I get in a place of like, I'm like, this can happen. And then I get so excited and energized by the thought of it, that I just believe that. And I said to someone, if I always believe that I'm not someone that ever gets jealous of anything. I get inspired by it, because I believe that if you can have it, I can work for it. And that's what seeing those experiences and living a life where there was no dad around, and even for now, like now, it's probably helped me so much in raising my daughter, because it's so important for her to have that family setting. Right. So it's been a basis of a lot of what I have done, a lot of decisions I've taken in my life. And I think I'm living in hope constantly, because even now I'm raising a 13-year-old in the midst of COVID, who have young children around, but they're so over it. So it's like I'm forced to stay positive, and I'm forced to stay hopeful. And I'm glad that I've always been that way, so that she understands that this too shall pass.
Yes. That's true. That is very much so, because they need that example. So that's definitely true. I guess we're coming pretty close to the end, but before we go, Alison, I have to ask, going back to your dad again, did his absence cause you to have challenges as you got older and you were in the dating world? Did that affect the way how you dated or how you view men?
That's a really good question. I don't think I've ever thought about that. I don't know. That is something I would, as I love to say, I'd have to sleep on that. But I would say to you that and I'll generalize this response to say that all the things that I experienced in this life that are not so good experiences, they give me the examples of what I don't want to ever experience. Even in terms of relationships and I've had in the past up to I'm getting married. Really, I'm a very no nonsense person. It's like I'm not willing to compromise, but I'm not lowering my standards. You're going to elevate up to my standards, or we're going to have a problem. And I'm not an unreasonable person. So it's just, some basic standards that I have. And if that's not going to work out, then okay, see you later. I'll remain your friend, but this isn't going to work. This union ain't going to work.
Oh, I like that. So. Wow. So our final question before we close out: when you look back at all that you have gone through and everything that you've been able to overcome, what would be your advice to someone right now who is in a similar situation of what you've been able to overcome? What would you tell that person that is there right now?
I would have to say that you have to take a moment to assess where you are. That's always the starting point for me, right? And if where you are is not in aligned to the trajectory or the vision you have for your life, you need to be willing to make some tough decisions about changing, because transformation requires action. The one thing I would say for sure is that your current environment does not define you. It does not define who you are, who you will become, and how you will then relay that into how you you start to help others, because there's a point in our life where once we started to acquire and we were rooted in purpose, there's a point at which you have to pour back into others. And I just, if you're on that path and you're not really sure if it's aligning with where you want to go, you need to scale back and do some serious reflection. I'm big on reflection. And the reason I'm big on reflection is because I always want to understand, one, if I'm still on the current path I wanted to be on, and two, if I need to make any changes, or if I've lost focus, right? Because many times we get sidetracked, whether it's with our inner circle, you get comfortable with people, and then you're living their vision, you're living their life.
Yeah.
But so you have to be rooted in your purpose and understand that if I choose a different path because I'm no longer interested in that you might lose a few friends here and there, but you'll gain new ones, because the vibe at which you're operating will help you to acquire new people that match your energy. And it's really important, and because I have this, obviously I'm a woman, but it's really important that as for women, that we start to really reflect on our self-worth. That's the other thing. Because if I did not talk to myself and talk up myself, and sometimes talk down myself, I would literally not understand the value that I brought to certain situations. I would either be too arrogant, so my ego, or I would undervalue myself, and both are detrimental to our progress. So it is very, very important that, one, you continue to focus on being a better person. Like in general, and when I say better person, I mean better as in how you engage with people, better in how you show up and be thankful for everything, better in terms of learning and continuing to grow and develop in your competence or your specific area of interest, and then better in just having a better relationship with you, believing that whatever he has planted in your heart, that you can fulfill. Live by that. That's the advice that I would share.
Splendid. That's amazing advice there, Alison. I was like, "Ooh, this is really good." Listen, guys, I hope you were taking notes, because Alison really dropped some gems tonight. There's so much from this conversation that I was able to take away, and I hope it really blessed you too as well, and you were able to take away a lot from this conversation. So, Alison, before we sign out, I want you to go ahead and tell us again, where can we find your book, and tell us where we can find your business, Boss Ladies United.
Okay, so my book, Life Lessons, A Purpose-Driven Leadership Journey, is available on Amazon in both print and Kindle version. I also hold local copies if you're in Barbados. If you can go to my website, www.lifelessonsbyabe.com, and I have an order form there, so you can place an order for a signed copy. In terms of my social media, I tend to, I'm very active on social, on Instagram primarily, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I take a professional stance. Instagram, I kind of share the professional and the personal. I'm very family oriented, so you get to see, some of what my looks like. and that's Ali, ALIBROWNE.JPG, as well as Boss Ladies United. Again, this is where we are focused on building up the confidence, competence, and greater collaboration within women.
That's well said. So guys, who heard it right here, Alison Browne-Ellis, she just shared her powerful story with us of how she's been able to overcome everything that she has gone through. She did not let it stop her. She decided that she is not going to give up until she gets everything that she wants. And you can do that too. Look at what Alison has been able to accomplish in spite of all these circumstances, all the challenges and everything that would have taken place. She did not let that stop or deter her from making sure she pressed on and accomplished every single goal that she set out to get. So before we go, if you have not done this already, make sure that you just hit that subscribe button and subscribe to this channel. So once again, you'll be kept abreast of all the videos when they're out. You'll be the first to get everything hot off the press. And share it with a friend. share it with a friend, make sure you like this video too as well, and feel free to comment, because both Alison and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on what she was able to share tonight with you. But whatever you do, have a great night, guys, and be safe out there. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are most welcome.
What I find disturbing in our community, the African American community, is that we can talk about a thyroid, we can talk about cancer, breast cancer, AIDS even, but we won't deal with the mental. And that's an issue.
Sometimes you got to go back to the beginning.
From Trinidad, Danielle Palside.
Is my experience in relation to being sexually groomed or abused as we say. And that happened at the age of 12. And, you know, most people listening would say, wow.
Join us for our next episode.